You're lying on bare ground in East Africa, 40,000 years ago. No walls, no fire tonight. The smoke would give your group away. The air is sliding toward the coldest hour before dawn, and out past the grass, something large is moving. And your own body wants to betray you. It wants you unconscious for the next 8 hours. Out here, unconscious is how you get eaten. So here's the real question. How did ancient humans ever survive the one thing every single night demanded of them? Going completely, defenselessly, to sleep. Because tonight, you'll do the exact same thing. Lie down, close your eyes, hand over your consciousness for hours. Except you'll do it behind a locked door, under a roof, in air held at a temperature your ancestors couldn't have imagined. Same surrender, utterly different stakes. And the way they solve this problem is stranger and closer to you than you'd ever guess. Start with what everyone assumes. We assume they slept more than us. Long, deep, unhurried nights, nothing to check, and nowhere to be. In 2015, a team led by neuroscientist Jerome Siegel at UCLA went to find out. They tracked 3 of the last hunter-gatherer societies left on Earth: the Hadza of Tanzania, the San of Namibia, and the Tsimane of Bolivia, strapping motion-sensing watches to 94 people and recording 1,165 days of sleep. No electricity, no alarm clocks, sleep as close to the ancient default as still exists anywhere. The result demolished the fantasy. These groups slept between 5.7 and 7.1 hours a night. That's it. Less than the 8 hours you've been told you're failing to hit. They drifted off around 3 hours after sunset, not at dusk, and woke, most days, before the sun. And here's the detail that stops you cold. In their languages, there is no word for insomnia. None. The condition that keeps more than 1 in 5 American adults staring at the ceiling has no name at all where people still sleep the old way. So if they didn't sleep more, what were they doing differently? The answer starts with a man who turned out the lights and waited. In the early 1990s, psychiatrist Thomas Ware, then at the National Institute of Mental Health, ran an experiment that sounds almost cruel in its simplicity. He took 8 healthy men, gave them 14 hours of total darkness every night, the length of a real winter night, before electric light stretched our evenings thin, and left them there for a month. The first few nights, they slept like the exhausted modern people they were. 11 hours straight, paying down a debt they didn't know they carried. Then, by the 4th week, something ancient surfaced. Their sleep split in 2. They slept about 4 hours, woke into 1 to 3 hours of calm, quiet wakefulness. Not anxious, not tossing, just awake. Then dropped into a second 4-hour sleep before morning. Nobody taught them this. Nobody could have. Ware had simply removed the light, and the body reached back across thousands of years and remembered how it used to work. Everyone assumes the solid, unbroken 8-hour night is the human factory setting. The thing insomnia rudely interrupts. The truth is the exact reverse. The unbroken night is the recent invention. The broken one is what your body was actually built for, which raises a strange possibility. If 2 separate sleeps were once normal, someone should have written it down. Someone did. Thousands of someones. Historian A. Roger Eckhart of Virginia Tech spent the better part of 2 decades reading the private paperwork of the pre-industrial world. Court depositions, diaries, prayer books, novels, medical texts, and kept tripping over the same 2 phrases. Not sleep, first sleep, and second sleep. He gathered hundreds of these references, scattered across centuries and languages, every one of them treating a broken night as unremarkable. The way you'd mention breakfast. People went to bed a couple of hours after dark. They slept. They woke near midnight for an hour or 2 and lived a small secret life inside that gap. They prayed. They poked the fire. They talked, made love, visited neighbors, turned their dreams over in their minds. Then they went back down until dawn. No doctor treated this. It wasn't a disorder, it was just what a night was. And then, within a couple of generations, it vanished. Gaslight, then electric light, pushed bedtimes later and squeezed the night from both ends until the gap closed. The second sleep disappeared so completely that we forgot it had ever existed, and then started diagnosing its ghost. But none of this answers the oldest problem, the one from the savannah. Sleeping through the night, in one piece or two, still leaves you helpless in the dark. So who, exactly, was keeping watch? In 2017, anthropologist David Sampson and his colleagues fitted 33 Hadza adults with activity trackers and watched them sleep for 20 nights straight. Not in a lab. Out in the open, on the ground, in the exact conditions where our species first learned to do this. They were testing an old idea called the Sentinel hypothesis, that a group survives the night not by everyone sleeping safely, but by never all sleeping at once. The data was almost impossible to believe. Across 20 nights, hundreds of hours of darkness, the entire group was asleep at the same moment for a grand total of 18 minutes. 18. Every other minute, someone was up. On average, 8 people were awake at any given time, with no schedule, no rotation, nobody assigned to the job. How? Because humans don't run on one shared clock. The night owl who irritates you and the grandparent wide awake at 4 a.m. aren't broken. They're coverage. Spread a group's natural sleep timings across the dark, and you get an unbroken watch entirely by accident. A security system built out of people who simply couldn't agree on a bedtime. So step back and look at all 4 windows at once. Ancient humans didn't survive the night by defeating sleep. They survived it by never fully surrendering to it as a group. The individual went under. The tribe never did. Sleep got broken into pieces. 2 bouts, a waking gap, staggered timing, and every one of those pieces, the exact ones we now treat as malfunctions, was once the solution. The 3 a.m. wake-up. The cousin who can't fall asleep before 2. The relative who's up before the birds. Modern medicine hands each of them a diagnosis. Evolution handed them a shift. So go back to that cold ground in East Africa. You lie down. Something is still moving out past the grass. But you close your eyes anyway. And you can, because somewhere near you in the dark, someone didn't. That was the deal our species struck with the night.